How's the demand for data centres grown in the last 18 months? Well, it's grown considerably, globally in fact, and it's driven by the growth in mobile phone usage, smartphones, the growth in use of tablets, online learning, backup data centres with traffic running between main data centres and backups has caused a huge growth in internet traffic, which in turn causes a growth in data centres. The Middle East has also grown considerably in terms of the demand for data centres. In fact, recent surveys suggest that it's probably growing at twice the rate that it's growing globally, and that's because the Middle East is a developing economy. What are the problems of the rapid expansion? Well, the problems that are caused by the rapid expansion of data centre facilities is generally a lack of planning when there's too much haste. If you have a lack of planning, then the design isn't put in place properly, or people try to add too much into a facility where it doesn't have the capacity. The first is overheating. The second is probably power problems. And in terms of the third, well, cabling probably is what causes major problems. Poor cabling systems can result in failures, power systems going out can result in failures, and overheating of the room can result in failures. Expanding companies particularly need a data centre assessment. The reason is because if they're building off an infrastructure that is already not sound, then they're going to have even more problems as they try and expand from that point. The whole facility is reviewed. We look at the layouts, the space, we look at the power capacities, we look at the type of cooling that's installed and whether it's appropriate for the facility and the capacity of that. We look at the cabling and of course all the security systems, the fire systems. So it's a complete review of the infrastructure that supports the IT systems. What does a data centre assessment tell a client? Well, it tells them exactly what they have, and it tells them how they can improve upon it. And in terms of improving upon it, that might be pointing out to them where there's potential single points of failure, so that if a single piece of equipment fails, or if they have a failure in one of their power pathways, what will the effect of that be on their IT services? If they understand that, they can plan to remove those single points of failure, giving them a better chance of having continuity of their IT services. Continuity of their IT services means business continuity, it means they can continue to provide services to their clients and continue to be a profitable and surviving organisation. What additional assessments might a client also require? Well, in addition to the physical audit that we look at when we look at a data centre, we encourage clients to look at the operational processes that they have in place. Because we often find that whereas people understand that the engineering systems, the facilities that are supporting the IT might result in failures, a lot of the failures that happen in practice are as a result of having poor operational practices in place, rather than the lack of investment in the infrastructure. What we will do when we're doing an operational assessment is we will look at all of the processes that are in place. We'll look at the documentation that's in place to support that data center facility. We identify where there are gaps in that documentation, where there are missing processes. We do a gap analysis against that best practice implementation of operational processes. We identify what the gaps are, and we encourage the client to fill those gaps. And where required, we'll assist in writing those processes and helping the client to implement them. The problem with electromagnetic interference is that it can cause data corruption. It can cause the network to slow down. Electromagnetic interference occurs because you have perhaps large sources of power nearby, perhaps you have electrical motors running, or you have radio transmissions nearby. An area where all these things might be concentrated, for instance, is in an airport environment. The electromagnetic survey scans a whole range of frequencies and measures the strength of the electromagnetic fields present. Beyond a certain level, they may cause interference to the networks and the IT systems, so we measure to make sure that they don't exceed a certain value. What are the three qualities that you should look for in a data center assessor? Firstly, they should be experienced. You're looking for somebody with at least 5 years experience and preferably a lot more. The next is that they should be knowledgeable, so they should have knowledge and qualifications specific to this market. Ideally, they should be chartered engineers or equivalent, so they will understand the infrastructures that they're reviewing. And thirdly, and very importantly, they should be independent. You can have somebody come and assess your data center, perhaps a vendor or a builder of data centers. Does a data center assessment offer suggestions for improvement? Yes, it certainly does. The report concludes with a set of suggested improvements. Some of those are short-term improvements. They're simple, low-cost things that you can do to improve the efficiency or the reliability or security of the data center. Others are more medium to longer term and obviously require some planning because they require an additional budget and will be a longer term improvement that you put in place. But the benefits of those improvements can often pay for themselves in a relatively short term. The first is to understand exactly what you have, what the capacities are you have within your existing facility. That helps you to plan for future expansion. Secondly, it will identify any inefficiencies. If you can improve on the efficiency of your data center, you can reduce your costs. And thirdly, it helps you to understand whether you have the right operational processes in place or whether you have any single points of failure. So it helps you to improve the reliability of the facility. That means less failures. That means less problems for the future. So if you've had an assessment and you're planning to improve the facility, then drawing up a roadmap will help you to get there in the shortest possible time at the lowest cost and with the least inconvenience to the business in terms of losing services along that roadmap. What is my advice to any company considering a data center assessment? Well, you should just do it. Frankly, it's irresponsible not to do it. Because if you don't understand the capacity you have available, if you don't understand the vulnerabilities that you have in terms of your operational processes, in terms of the single points of failure that might exist in your power systems, in your cooling systems, then the business is at risk. Not just the IT facility, but the whole business is at risk. Because it's proven that in many circumstances where there's a significant loss of services to IT facility or loss of access to company data, then the business often fails as a result of that.